After a gap of 3 long years, the bull taming sport of Jallikattu will be held legally in the state of Tamil Nadu. Now, an ordinance drafted by the state government and approved by the state governor has, literally sidestepped the ban placed on the sport by the Supreme Court after massive protests were witnessed, especially on Chennai's Marina Beach. And to talk about this, we are joined in the studio by Pradeep Kumar, who's an activist, who's an advocate for Jallikattu. We have Anupam Tripathi, who's a lawyer and a consultant and an advocate with the Supreme Court. He's also an animal rights activist and has played a very important role when this case came up in the Apex Court. I'm also joined by lawyer with the Supreme Court, Mr. Sen Gupta. Thank you so much. Amends that. Let me come to you, Mr. Tripathi. Who amends the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act? Doesn't the central government need to do this? And do you think amendment to an ordinance can be a permanent solution?
Amendment to an ordinance cannot be a permanent solution. You see, the PCA, Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act, is a central legislation.
Yes.
So the Parliament of India has to amend it. The state government cannot. This ordinance is just a stopgap arrangement. I believe it is a political stunt. Ultimately, even the ordinance has to stand the scrutiny of the Supreme Court. Sure. And I believe, owing to the 2014 judgment and the fact that another judgment of the Supreme Court is already reserved on Jallikattu, I don't think this ordinance is going to stand that test of the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court has always held that Jallikattu is by and large inherently cruel to the bulls. So long as you have the bulls running in the sport, cruelty will be there. If you replace the bulls with strong men,
yes, perhaps that will change. Mr. Tripathi, but how can, public sentiment override or overrule a Supreme Court order? I don't understand this, because explain this for me. There was this particular case, was debated. It was taken up by various eminent lawyers and representations. All of the facts and proof about alleged cruelty to the bull during the bull taming sport was laid out for the Supreme Court. Tell us a little bit more about when the case came up, and tell us, why do you see this anger, this building anger or frustration against PETA alone? Because the Animal Welfare Board of India was also part of, the petitions against the bull taming sport.
Yes. See, in 2014, when the Supreme Court went on to pass this judgment, both sides had contested very heavily, right? Now, evidence was presented in the Supreme Court, which was by and large evidence done based on investigations by PETA, and those evidence revealed that there was high amount of cruelty involved in the sport. For example, there was tail biting, there were pocket knives
and
used,
all of that was documented.
Yes, it was all documented. There was spice rubbed in the eyes of the bulls. See, the idea is, please understand, these bulls naturally are not animals that are going to be aggressive, that are going to be running like mad and people are going to be, embracing them or whatever. Naturally, they are docile. You have to create a circumstance in their holding area in Jallikattu to provoke them. That's what is done. They feed them with alcohol, they rub spice in their eyes, they twist their tails and things like that. And then the bull gets into what they call a flight or a fight mode. These are two responses. When the bull is in panic, extreme cruelty is committed on it, and then it runs like mad, and people then try and embrace it. They call it embracing. Though frankly, there are 50 people jumping on a bull and further scaring it. All this was gone into by the Supreme Court, and finally what the Supreme Court said was that a welfare legislation like Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act ensures that the animal is protected. The animal comes first, right? And ultimately went on to pass a judgment, finding that the sport was inherently cruel to the bull. Now, until and unless you remove the animal from the sport and maybe replace it with people.
Which in fact a bench of, Justices Deepak Mishra and Mr. Nariman said that the very act of taming a bull to perform in an event runs counter to the concept of welfare of the animal, which is the basic foundation of the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act. Pradeep, I know you want to step.
The complete ban should not happen.
Avantika, I'd like to make a point here.
Yes,
it's very important. You see, regulation was tried to 2014 as well for 3 years. It failed. Then the Supreme Court judgment came. Again, they tried for regulation in the last notification of the central government, 7 January 2016, which we challenged and got a stay against it. Now a judgment is awaited. There too, the central government has asked for regulations, that we can regulate the sport. But by and large, like I said, a sport which is inherently cruel to the bull, unless and until you remove the bull from the sport, you cannot regulate it, is what my take is.
we will continue with Party, who's also a lawyer in the Supreme Court, Mr. Sen Gupta, who's a lawyer in the Supreme Court, C. Rajashekharan, lawyer and an AIDMK supporter. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. I'll come to you in just a bit. Okay, we'll just fix the audio with Mr. Sen Gupta. But coming to you, Mr. Tripathi, do you think that a move like this is constitutionally invalid? Because an ordinance usually is brought about under circumstances of, pressing nature that requires immediate attention, which requires immediate action as well.
No, this is a move which is popular.
Okay.
May not necessarily be constitutionally invalid.
Okay.
It may be valid. Having said that, like I said, if ultimately the sport is, as it has been recognized, to be inherently cruel to the bulls, and no efforts are made, or rather until and unless you remove the bulls from the sport, it will continue to be cruel. In such circumstances, this ordinance, while this may be a stopgap arrangement, ultimately will have to face the test of the Supreme Court, where I believe by and large, tomorrow as and in the future, it will fail as and the Supreme Court will strike it down.
Absolutely. And just to take it from where we left at, Pradeep, in the earlier part of our conversation for India Today. I want to take a quick question from Mr. Anupam Tripathi, who is also an advocate with the Supreme Court, who was there, in fact, when this case came up in 2014. How can, sentiment like this and emotions override the basic principle of the rule of the land? Isn't this undermining judiciary?
It is. It is. That is what is most unfortunate. It is undermining a central legislation. It is undermining the judiciary. It is undermining the Supreme Court and setting a very, very bad precedent.
Something that has been also advocated by Hari Salve, eminent jurists like Mr. Soli Sorabji as well, who feel that this is, something that is unprecedented, it is unheard of, and very interestingly saying that it has, tested the dignity and the majesty of the Supreme Court as well.
Correct. I completely agree with them. Completely agree with them. And like I said, it sets a very bad precedent. And if this is allowed, like it was allowed in the Jat, it seems that this government seems to be kneeling down to public pressure.
Yes.
And in the name of vote bank politics, right, or sheer numbers, they are kneeling down to demands. And what's in course next? All you need is 2 lakh odd people asking for sati tomorrow.
Yes.
In the name of tradition, what all do you want to, sati was also a part of tradition, so was dowry. They've been abolished, right?
Pradeep, don't you use in perspective for us? Will it bring relief?
So, see, a caveat basically means that the Supreme Court is not going to grant any sort of a stay without hearing the state government. That's it. That is all that a caveat does. So basically, if tomorrow petitioners go to the Supreme Court, or today they go to the Supreme Court.
So there's a judgment that's pending in the Supreme Court.
That is, of course, already received.
And that has been delayed on the request of the centre, seeing the kind of situation that prevails in the state of Tamil Nadu. Now, with this development, with the Tamil Nadu government filing a caveat in the Supreme Court, what does it entail?
A caveat, basically, like I said, it means that the state government has to be given a notice prior to granting a stay over the ordinance. That's about it. So basically, it means that, an ex parte stay against the ordinance would not be granted by the Supreme Court. The state government would be heard. That's it. A caveat doesn't mean that it stops the Supreme Court from doing anything.
Right. I'll take 2 quick reactions from our guests in the studio. Anupam, is it that easy, that simple to just amend an act?
No, it's not going to be. Now, I just want to say that Jallikat is cruel. It's inherently cruel. And the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, said that the moral progress of a nation shall be judged by the way its society treats its animals. And he'll be appalled right now with what he's going to be seeing in Jallikat. Jallikat is inherently cruel to the bulls.